Muy buenos días a todas las personas que están conectadas en este momento. Mi nombre es Camila Flores, hago parte del equipo de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales y hoy estaremos realizando un webinar con Heinz College de la Universidad Carnegie Mellon University. Le doy la bienvenida a David, a Sara, a Eloisa y a Juliana, quienes estarán realizando la presentación el día de hoy. Pero antes de comenzar, quería recordarles que con esta universidad tenemos un convenio en el cual consiste en que Heinz ofrece un descuento del 75% sobre el valor de la matrícula para máximo 5 beneficiarios de Colfuturo que sean admitidos al programa de maestría. Ya ellos estarán profundizando en cuáles son los requisitos para este convenio. Antes de darles la palabra, quería contarles que cualquier pregunta o inquietud que tengan acerca de esta universidad o acerca del convenio, lo pueden hacer en nuestro chat que encuentran en la parte inferior de nuestras pantallas, y estas serán respondidas al finalizar la sesión. David, thank you so much for being here. You can now start the presentation.
Okay, gracias. Buenos días, bienvenidos. And that's it for Spanish.
That's fine.
I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me today. As you heard from Camilla, we have Sarah Collins on the line with us. Sarah is our Assistant Director of Admissions. And then we also have Eloisa and Juliana. They are both current students. Eloisa is in our Masters of Science in Public Policy and Management program. And Juliana is in our Masters of Information Systems and Management program, and is also a Colfuturo scholarship recipient. So we are excited to have everybody here for you today to learn a little bit about Carnegie Mellon, Heinz College, the admissions process, scholarships, and really just answering your questions. My name is David Dennenberg. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions, and excited to be here with you today. We'll get our presentation started. I'm going to share my screen. And I wish I was with you in person today, because I love it out there in Colombia, and I'm missing not having a Juan Valdez coffee this morning, or a Bogota beer company drink this afternoon. So I look forward to that in the future. But for now, here we are, and we'll do it this way. So can everyone see my screen? Yeah, thumbs up. All right, great. So first off, there we go. This is our building in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Carnegie Mellon University and the Heinz College is located. If you have done your initial research, you may see that we are the Heinz College, which is the overall college within the university. We are one of 7 within the university. And we happen to be the only one, though, that only offers graduate degrees. We do not have any undergraduate degree programs under our roof. We are the School of Information Systems and Policy, the School of Public Policy and Management, and then we also have some arts and entertainment programs that fall under our roof as well. What is unique about us is that we have kind of a motto that we follow. We follow taking a look at analytics, technology, and deployment, and what that equals is a real world impact. And so we really want to make sure that students cover these 3 areas, the analytics, the technology, and deployment, in their actual degree programs. And you're going to see as we kind of go in through this presentation what that looks like. My goal for today is for us to spend about 20-25 minutes on learning about our programs in the school, and then we're going to really open it up to questions. I want you to be able to hear from Eloisa and Juliana, and I've got some questions for them, and then I encourage you to use the chat to ask questions as well. So who are we? We are one of the top universities in the United States, as well as in the world. US News World Report ranked us #1 for information and technology. We're #2 for information systems, 5 for environmental policy, 6 for policy analysis, and #14 overall for public affairs. #1 for analytics, education, and research. We are very, very proud of that analytics background. It's something that we've been doing from the very, very beginning of our existence as a college. And it's ingrained in every degree program that we offer. So you'll see that when we go into the courses that we offer, how you really dive into analytics and how that applies to your degree programs. I want to take a moment on this slide to really just show you what we have to offer at Heinz College, because there's a lot that we do have to offer. Under the School of Information Systems and Management, we offer our traditional Information Systems and Management master's degree. We also have a Master's of Science in Information Security and Policy degree. And then we have some executive ed programs as well. The Information Systems and the Information Security Policy program are the two flagship of the School of Information Systems. And Information Systems and Management does have a few tracks to it as well. It has a business intelligence data analytics track, as well as a global track and a what we'll call a fast track for those who have a little bit more work experience. In our School of Public Policy and Management, we have our Masters of Science in Public Policy and Management, and we have our Healthcare Master's programs, that is a Masters of Science in Healthcare Analytics and Technology, and also a Master's of Science in Healthcare Policy and Management. Again, the Public Policy and Master's program has a few different tracks to it. It has a data analytics track, it has a global track, it has a Washington, D.C. track, and also has some fast tracks as well. Lastly, in our fine arts programs, we have an arts management degree program that is focusing on the nonprofit arts, and our entertainment industry management program, which is focusing on essentially the for-profit arts, movie studios, gaming industry, music industry, television, etc. And of course, we are a world-class research center, so we have a number of research centers under our roof, and you're seeing just a few of them on the screen. We do offer PhD programs. They are only focused on the information systems program and the public policy program. Much, much smaller than our master's programs, but we do offer them if you are ever considering a PhD. So the overarching common foundation of every degree, whether you're going into the arts or the public policy field, are related in analytics, technology, and implementation or deployment, as we talked about. So within analytics, you're going to be taking stats courses with a little bit of programming with R, financial analysis. You're going to have technology courses where you understand how to use the information that you are collecting and distribute it in a quick and efficient way. And then implementation of how do you take all of this information that you've collected and now apply it. So we've got a lot of hands-on learning. Our capstone project, which is our culminating experience, instead of doing a research or a thesis project, you're doing a real project with a real client on real issues. You have a mandatory summer internship, and then you have a lot of courses where it's involving classroom projects. So you're really getting your hands dirty in the data and applying it. So what makes us different is that we have some partners who come back to us year after year after year to allow our students to really take what they're learning and apply it. So this idea of deployment or implementation, with our capstone projects, a few examples you see on the screen, we had some students work with McKinsey & Company, focusing on the rollout of Obamacare. We've had students who are in the arts field work with Sony on identifying movie downloads from iTunes and how they can better improve that process. And we've also had students work with our local government and our local agencies, such as the Pittsburgh Police Department, to create a more safe environment for students who are walking to and from school and identifying where services could be better utilized to protect those children on their journey back and from school. Other partners you may recognize names from that we regularly have on campus and recruiting students from. They are from all different sectors, from retail to corporate to government agencies and so on. So I would imagine you recognize a couple of these names that you may run into at your time at Carnegie Mellon. I talked earlier about how we are a graduate school and that's really the only thing that we focus on, are graduate degrees. And because of that, what it means is that 100% of our resources are for our graduate students. And so we have our own in-house career services team. And it's unique because not many schools on the graduate level have their own career services team. And what our career services team does is that they have an advisor for each individual degree program. And their goal is to work with our students year-round, even from before you start your degree program, so that you can have the ability to jumpstart the internship search, to jumpstart the career search, to make relationships with employers. And then they also manage our alumni network. And so you'll be able to connect with both second-year students as mentors, with alumni as mentors. And so it's not mandatory, except for maybe one meeting each year that you go to career services, but you'll find that you're talking to your career services advisor quite often because they are a great resource to helping you succeed through the degree program. So now I really want to kind of dive into our degree program so you can see what we have to offer. Later at the end of the presentation, if you have questions, I'm happy to entertain them at that point. So for our School of Public Policy and Management, first off, we have our Masters of Science in Public Policy and Management. We talked about that, as well as the Data Analytics class. The policy, what we call our flagship program, it teaches a firm understanding of policy, and then you get the analytics, the technology, the management skills, essentially kind of MBA, but applying it directly towards public policy, so that you're able to know the policy, know how to develop a solution to a problem, and actually then apply that problem towards making an impact. For the data analytics track, it's everything I just said, except that you then do a deep dive into analytics, into AI, machine learning. How do you utilize analytic technologies to transform organizations? You can see here at the bottom when we established these programs, as well as the average class sizes. We do not anticipate that this is going to change with COVID-19 or anything in terms of sizing over the course of the next couple years. We have a few different tracks, as I mentioned, with our traditional flagship MSPBM program. We have our traditional track where you're in Pittsburgh for the full 21 months of the program. And you can have a real opportunity to take concentrations, and I'll show you what those concentrations are in a moment. While you can choose a concentration, we find that our students don't always take one or enjoy the flexibility of having a very generalist curriculum so that you can kind of dive all over the place with your career outcomes. We then have the data analytics track where you do a deep dive into analytics, and then finally our Washington, D.C. track where you spend your first year in Pittsburgh and then your second year in Washington, D.C. Biggest difference there is instead of doing an internship, you're doing an apprenticeship where you spend about 36 hours a week in D.C. working with a client within Washington, D.C. It's typically for students who want to work within federal government as opposed to some of the other levels of government that are out there. We have our various concentration areas that you could choose from with our public policy program. So you can take electives in all of these areas. And then we're going to dive into, still under the public policy and management side of our house, we have our healthcare programs. The healthcare policy and management program gives you a holistic foundation to prepare you for the healthcare continuum, anywhere from working in government to working in the insurance industry to working for a large hospital or even retail, pharmaceutical company. And then we have the analytics and information technology program of healthcare, where it's again the same thing, but you do a big deep dive into AI, IT solutions, and working more on the background of analytics towards these efforts. These are some of the common outcomes of where our students go for our public policy program. So you can see students end up in government, nonprofits, think tanks, government, and for-profit organizations, really across the board. In our healthcare program, students end up in a variety of healthcare organizations, consulting, as well as technology. So there's a wide range of where our students go, and we encourage you to take your own backgrounds that you currently have and build on top of that to make sure that you have the opportunity to really take your career where you want it to go. Then we have our information systems side of the house. So we talked about, we have our information security policy program, and that is for students who are interested in cyber warfare, cyber hacking, protecting of information. We have seen a number of organizations run into serious issues with security breaches, everything from Sony to Target to the banks, and so everybody is in need of security experts. As a matter of fact, this is out of all of the degree programs that we offer, our security program is the one that has the most available jobs when you graduate because of the need for security experts these days. That's not to say our other programs don't have a ton of job opportunities, but that one in particular has the most. You do not need to be a US citizen to participate in a security program because you do have organizations across the world and also organizations that are not just government organizations who need security experts. Then we have our information systems program, which obviously includes the business intelligence data analytics track. What we like to look at for MISM is essentially it's the combination of a school of computer science and a school of business merged into one. And it's how do you take technology and make better business decisions. And so you kind of sit in between those who are the hardcore programmers and those who are in the C-suite or executive positions to say, I know what your goal is. I can understand and help you understand the technology to get there. And so you kind of sit in between the two. And with our business intelligence data analytics track of that program, you then are able to do a real deep dive into, again, AI machine learning related to business and technology. Here's a quick snapshot of the MS-ISPM curriculum. You've got your core courses, which are all related to security, and then you have outside of the core a wide range of different areas that you can focus on. With our security program, we say it's just technical enough, so you don't need to come with being a computer science or engineering type of background. The MISM program, as I mentioned earlier, has a few different tracks. So we have our traditional track, which is 16 months, 3 semesters, which includes a internship in between year 1 and year 2. That is fully based in Pittsburgh. The data analytics track also, which is a 16-month program, which has a internship in the summer. And then finally, you have your global track where you study your first year in Adelaide and second year in Pittsburgh with the internship in between. And then I mentioned that we do have some fast track options, both for our traditional and our data analytics. And that is going to be for students who have 3 or more years of work experience. You can do a 1-year program. So it's 3 semesters back to back with no internship. And we are relying on your previous work experience to kind of make up for not having that internship. If you have 3 or more years of work experience, we would encourage you to apply directly to one of the fast track options instead of the traditional option. The MISM program, the general MISM program, not business intelligence data analytics, but the general one does have a few specializations that you could take elective coursework in. Again, you can choose to do these specializations or not. Students, again, enjoy the flexibility of the program and being able to say, you know what, I just want to take one class from all 5 of the different concentration areas to kind of give myself a more generalist approach. And employers appreciate that, as well as those who want to really do a deep dive, you can as well. This is an overview of our beta program, and you can see you're really taking courses related to business process analysis, predictive modeling, reporting and analysis, data visualization, and GIS mapping. So you really get a deep dive into data analytics, whereas the traditional MISM program, you can take elective courses related to that. But those who really are interested in beta, I would encourage you to apply to the beta program as opposed to those who maybe just want to take a couple courses related to analytics. Outcomes of our information systems and security program. You see students go into technology, consulting, banking and finance, and obviously the information security field as well. You'll notice a trend here with a lot of common names of employers and organizations. And again, this is because our career services team, one of their goals is to make relationships with these organizations, to bring them onto campus, to provide information sessions, and to really make a network for our students as they're graduating and looking for internships. And then finally, we get into our arts programs, and really creativity, it's the skill of the future. And so we want our students who are in our arts program to utilize the opportunity of being in a a school where it's co-located with a School of Technology and a School of Public Policy, and you're really able to take advantage of the courses offered from those degree programs. But the arts management and our entertainment industry management program both are also offered in collaboration with the School of Fine Arts, which is one of the top School of Fine Arts in the world. And so you have the ability to really hone in on your art skills and experiences, but also add to some new stuff, taking on finance courses, some analytic courses, database work. But you do not need to come from a technology background to be successful in our arts programs. The Masters of Arts Management, which is our nonprofit arts, you can see here some of the industry verticals where our students are working. They're working and taking courses that are related to theater and dance and to fine arts, visual arts, and they go into such a wide range of different outcomes, everything from marketing to operations to programming and research. And then in our entertainment industry management program, the for-profit, again, there's a wide range here, but students go into working with the film studios, the TV networks, talent agencies, music labels, and they do everything from marketing to development to distribution, licensing, publication, representation. So these are some pretty cool programs. The entertainment industry management program, this program, you start the first year in Pittsburgh and you do your second year in Los Angeles at our campus in Los Angeles. The Masters of Arts Management is fully based in Pittsburgh. And you can see here with our arts analytics in action, kind of how we apply analytics, technology, quant management, and methods and leadership to our creative industry programs. So now to the stuff everyone wants to know. How do I get in? How much money will you give me? All right, so here comes the good stuff. First off, as you can see on our screen here today, that we are with 2 students from Columbia, and we've had many others before, and we'll have many others after you who will join our programs. So we are very familiar with the Columbian education system, very familiar with what is required for you as you are an applicant, and we will work with you through that process. In terms of applying, we have an online application, and it is now open for our fall 2021 application. So I encourage you to feel free to log into our website and explore that. Our application deadline is the same every year. It's January 10th, and it's regardless of what year you're applying, it's always going to be January 10th. And we do not have any benefit to submitting your application early. So I encourage you to work on your application, make sure it's the best application that you can submit, and then submit when you are ready. We do not review the applications, though, until after that January 10th deadline. What you need in order to apply, besides filling out the online application, is to submit transcripts. If you have studied outside of the United States for your bachelor's degree, you will need to submit education verified documents. So there's a couple verification organizations that we work with. Most commonly are WES or ECE or SpanTran. And you would have your university send your transcripts directly to one of those evaluation credential evaluators, and they would then do that evaluation and send the transcript directly to us. We also want to see letters of recommendation. We want to see at least 1 professional and 1 academic. If you have been out of school for about 3 or more years, then go ahead and keep it more on the professional side. If you're not sure who you should have as recommenders, feel free to contact us, and we're happy to work with you to navigate that process. You can have a total of 3 recommenders, but you must have at least 2. We want to see your updated resume or CV. Make sure that you provide us as much information as you can. This is your one shot in front of the admissions committee. I know some of you maybe have heard advice that you need to have a 1-page resume. For an application for admission, I encourage you to expand that if you can. Don't do it if you don't need to, but feel free to expand to a 2nd page so that you can elaborate on the experiences that you've had. We want to know about leadership that you've been involved with, any student groups, all of your internships, any technology experience that you may have had. So feel free to really dive into that. We do have a mandatory essay, and it's a very general prompt. It's essentially, who are you? What are you interested in? What do you see yourself doing in 5, 10, 15 years from now? And how can Heinz College help you get there? It's about 1,000 words. We're not counting, so feel free. If it's a little over or a little under, that's okay. But we really want to hear from you, and this is your opportunity to explain why you're the right fit for our program and why we're the right fit for you, because it's mutual. We really want to make sure that it's beneficial for both parties that you're at Heinz College. We do have a optional essay as well, and it is truly optional, but that optional essay is there for any extra or anecdotal information. So if you feel that maybe there was a class that you didn't do very well in, or you took a gap year and it's not really clear in your resume and you want to explain that gap year, that's what the optional essay is there for. It's there for you to be able to share anything that maybe we wouldn't necessarily be able to understand just at our initial reviewing of your essay or your resume. We do have a Toefl or Ielts requirement. For those who are non-native English speakers, you are required to submit this, and with COVID-19, this is still being required. So please do prepare as necessary. For the Toefl exam, we are looking for students to achieve a score of 25 on all 4 sections of the IBT. That is the 25 is to be competitive. The absolute minimum that we would accept is a 22 on all sections, except for the speaking, which is a minimum of 18. But to be competitive, we encourage you to try and achieve a 25 on all 4 sections. For the IELTS, it is a 7.0 on all sections, except for the speaking, which is a 6.5. Finally, we have the GRE or the GMAT requirement. And again, this is something that we are still requiring with COVID. The GRE and GMAT have both implemented at-home exams. So you are able to register and take them from your home. You may register, actually the at-home exam has more availability than an in-person exam does at this time. And that does not require too much technology except for a camera within your computer or an external camera. So what we do is we have on our website, all of our different degree programs have class profiles, and those class profiles will give you a general idea of an average GRE score for that individual degree program. The GRE scores that we have listed on our website are based off of 3 years of data of enrolling students. So it's very, very accurate information. And you can see that we have listed the GRE or the GMAT. So if you're considering to do an MBA, obviously an MBA program would require the GMAT, and instead of having you spend another $200 or $250, go ahead and just take one exam, save the money, and submit the GMAT score instead. So once you've put that all together, you'll have a complete application. We intend to try and get decisions out by March 15th to our applicants to know whether or not you've been admitted. Now, your application for admission is also your application for scholarship. There is not a separate application that you need to be considered for scholarship. And you can also see here that we don't charge an application fee, and that we also have a video interview, but it is optional and strongly, it's optional but strongly recommended. So that's something that you can consider to do as well. Now, into the scholarship, we do have merit-based scholarships, and that is going to be based off of your undergraduate GPA, as well as your GRE or GMAT score and any relevant experience that you have. When you are initially applying, you will be considered for a merit-based scholarship. So you'll see here that if you are awarded a Cole Futuro scholarship, we will then provide you with a Carnegie Mellon Heinz College scholarship of 75% of tuition. That should then help close the gap and cover the costs between what you receive from us and what you'd receive from Cole Futuro. That being said, because our application deadline is in January and we tell you around March, you generally will not know at that point in time whether or not you have received the Cole Futuro scholarship. And because of that, what we are going to do initially is review you for a merit-based scholarship and give you an initial merit-based scholarship award. If that merit-based scholarship award is less than what your award would be if it awarded the Cole Futuro scholarship, we would then adjust that as necessary. So we will take care of you as best as we can. I also like to always share that we try to be competitive with our scholarships. So there, if you are applying to multiple schools and you have a better scholarship offer than what we provided you, we want to hear about that, because if you were admitted to Heinz, that means we want you at Heinz. So we're going to do what we can to try and make you feel comfortable both with our programs as well as with the cost of the program. All right. So I want to now step away from our formal presentation. You've heard enough from me. And now I want to open it up to Eloisa and Juliana. As I mentioned earlier, Eloisa is a student in our public policy and management program. Are you doing any special track, Eloisa?
No, I'm especially interested in policy analysis and also data analytics, but yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And then we've got Juliana as well, who's in our information systems and management program. Are you doing any concentrations, Juliana?
I am not. I mean, I applied for the business intelligence track. I'm a MISM 16 program. That's the general program. I did apply for the business intelligence track, but during the program, I realized I wanted to be more flexible, and I ended up taking classes from different. So I'm not in a special track.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I do have a few other slides I'll bring up towards the end here, but that way we can all see each other's faces and go through some of our questions that we have. So I have a few initial questions that we're going to, that we prepared in advance to ask Eloisa and Juliana, and then I encourage all of you to use that chat to ask questions to them as well. Camilla will help us in looking at the chat function. So first off, I wanted to ask, actually, thank you again for joining us. We're thrilled to have you on board. Why don't you introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your background, where you are currently located, where you came from before coming to Heinz College, so that they all know who you are. So Eloisa, you want to start off since you're next to me on the Zoom platform?
Sure, of course. So my name is Eloisa. I was born in Colombia. I grew up in Colombia, but when I was 14, I moved to Spain, and then I did my bachelor in Spain. And after that, I worked with doing market research and project management in based on African markets. So I basically was managing projects in different African countries and analyzing the data, doing the project management, and presenting the results to the clients in different topics. So from from consumer goods to women, financial issues, or if they were aware of the financial products, etc. So that's a bit what I did before I went to Heinz, and then I started my master at Heinz last year, and then I think in October last year I started working with the Human Computer Interaction Institute, which is also within CMU, and it's very nice because as an international student, you're allowed to work on campus jobs, and this was very, very interesting for me. And I've been doing that in my master's at the same time, and it's been really interesting, and really, I think it makes my experience much richer because I can take advantage of all the CMU resources at the same time that I am at Heinz. So yeah, and then I did my internship there, and I think that's a lot of information. So maybe you want to ask me
that was
something.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Juliana.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Liana. I am a student from a MISM program, which is the Information System Management one. As I already mentioned, I'm in the 16-month track. Before applying to Heinz, I'm an industrial engineer. So I didn't have a strong background in computer science. I did have some coding background experience. But it wasn't a strong experience on that, but that wasn't any difficult for me to apply to this program. As David mentioned, it makes a perfect combination of business and computer science. So that's why I applied. Oh, sorry, I have I have a couple of years experience in finance. So I always was passionate about data and analytics, and I wanted to do like a shift in my career, and I found that Heinz the perfect place to do that. That's why I applied to the master in information system management, and I did my internship, my summer internship as a data scientist at Giant Eagle. Giant Eagle is one of the top supermarket chains in Pittsburgh. It has presence in other 4 or 5 states. And yeah, that's pretty much everything about me. I am looking for a career in analytics. I already say that, but I do want to combine like my finance skills and my computer science skills, and that's why I would love to work like in a fintech in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
I love it. Great. Well, thank you for the introductions. I guess my first question to you is, did you apply to any other master's degree programs? And if so, why did you ultimately choose Heinz College? Louisa, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Yeah, so when I was applying for a master's, I basically looked for something that had both policy and data. And that's why I looked at CMU. I heard from actually previous CoFuturo recipient and CMU grad from Colombia, and she recommended the master's to me. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to look into this because I didn't know it before. And I also applied to UCSD, to the University of California, San Diego. And I was also looking at Columbia University, and I was looking at Chicago University. And finally, well, I was doing consultancy, a consultant job, and I was really busy. So I said, okay, I'm just going to choose the ones that I really want to apply to. And so I applied to UCSD and CMU. And then I liked CMU because of the data focus. And I liked UCSD because it was it felt like it was a bit focused on international affairs or like international development. And finally, I chose CMU because of the data, because I thought I already have an international experience. I need to focus on my data skills. And yeah, and well, you didn't ask me this, but there's a professor at CMU that is in charge of international relations, and she's fantastic. So from Chile.
Who is that? Which professor?
Sylvia. Yes, absolutely wonderful. So I think that's fine. She covers the international part.
Wonderful. Also, a faculty member we have, his name is Raid Ghani, and he is the head of the Data for Social Good Research Center at CMU. So we really are a fully integrated data and public policy program. So you have a lot of opportunity to do research as well if you're interested. Juliana, same question to you.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I choose CMU? No, I'm kidding. No, I applied when I was looking for a graduate program. I applied for NYU too. I was interested in doing the data engineer program. No, the financial engineer. Sorry, I forgot. But you know what? I ended up choosing CMU because I had the chance of going to a prospective student weekend even before starting the program. I went to Pittsburgh. I went to the campus. I even got to know David there, I remember. So that gave me like a whole perspective of how things were gonna be there. We actually had the chance to have a class with like a in-person class with some of the professors, and we have a chat with the dean, and we even had a small space to talk with the current students. So I mean, at the end, I really got a perspective that a view of what things were gonna be at campus at a CMU. So that's why I chose CMU. Even when I was talking with some other students, they also mentioned that when they applied to NYU, the environment was going to be so much different. So I knew that the CMU, it's a very collaborative place. You have the freedom to talk with other professors. So I love that about CMU, and yeah, I mean, it was the #1 school in analytics, so that was also a point, like a plus, a huge point for deciding for CMU.
Fantastic. So to jump off of that, obviously NYU is in New York, very expensive city.
Yeah, definitely.
Could either of you or both of you talk a little bit about your experience moving to Pittsburgh and the cost of living in Pittsburgh, or is it a cool city? What is your experience here so far?
Yeah, that was oh, sorry. Go ahead, Liz. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just used to being first. So, sorry that came out wrong. But what I meant was, I think Pittsburgh, it's a city that it's very pretty. When I was deciding whether to move to San Diego or to Pittsburgh, in my mind, my first thought was I would rather bike to university than have a car and become a car mechanic. So I don't know enough about cars. I don't want to get a car. So Pittsburgh, it's really nice. It's really livable. It's a really livable city. It's bikeable. There are small, good restaurants. It's not very expensive. It feels like a little town, but then at the same time, if you go to downtown, you can have like a broader view of a city more, I think. And yeah, and I think it's really, really nice. I don't think we had a very cold winter last year, and so I was very surprised when everything was fine and it was cold and nice and like a bit snowy at times, but not really exceptionally cold. So yeah, so I think getting to Pittsburgh was pretty easy. For the same person that recommended the degree to me, had a friend that was working there, still from a CMU grad that was working for the human, what is it called, for the county. And yeah, so I started living with her, and it was really easy to settle in.
Okay, so I'll go next. Yeah, Pittsburgh is definitely a student-friendly city. I'll say there's a big percentage of the populations which are only students. I mean, our campus at Heinz, it's next to the University of Pittsburgh campus. So the environment there, it's great. You can walk around campus. Even next to the campus, we have like a huge park to go and do hiking. If you're really stressful with classes, you can take a short walk there and clear your mind. But Pittsburgh, I love Pittsburgh. I honestly wish I could have stayed longer. Because of COVID, I moved to other city, but I wish I could stay there longer. It's definitely cheaper. Oh yeah, for finding houses, and if you're interested, you can reach us. For me, it was key to have David, we have a Facebook group for housing. So when I joined that group, that was the key for me to find a house. I even met I even met my roommate there on the Facebook housing group for Heinz. So I think finding apartments or rooms, it was easy, it's affordable. CMU had great resources for students. I will mention the pantry. Heinz CMU has a pantry. We love it. We were there with Eloisa every week. I mean, every 2 weeks, you're allowed to go there every 2 weeks, but the pantry, basically, they help you to provide food. They provide you with food with no charges. So, I mean, we had everything there. We had food. They gave us like vegetables, produces for free. I was like, really? Is this true? So, I don't know. I love Pittsburgh. It's great to live there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, everyone, we always like to say Pittsburgh's a big city with a small city feel. We truly have all of the resources that New York City and Chicago and LA and all of the activities that they have, we have too. It's just on a bit of a smaller scale. We love it, our little community here. And in terms of a student-centered city, you're absolutely right. There's actually 6 universities just in a 3-mile radius of the Carnegie Mellon campus. So you are not alone in terms of being a student and having resources for students. So we're excited for you to visit at some point in time. I have other questions, but I'm going to put those to the side so that we can really start to get into the chat box here and hear from those who are on the line. So Camilla, do you want to share some of those questions with us?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, great.
So, the first question is related to the fees. I think they're asking for the general price for each of the programs, but I think it's different for each one of them. So maybe if you have any idea about the average price.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'll do is I'll send a link into the chat in a moment where you can find the cost of the program. But know that the cost of the program, it's what we would expect if you were to receive no scholarship whatsoever. And 90% of our applicants, those who are affiliated with Col-Futuro, those who are not, 90% of our applicants receive some type of merit-based aid. So know that the number you're seeing there is the worst case scenario. I encourage you to ask questions to us directly about the costs. But I'll share the link in a moment with everybody in the chat.
Thank you.
Sure.
Cesar, yeah. The next question is from Cesar, and he wants to know what are the requirements to apply to the doctorate program on electrical and computer engineering?
Yeah, sure. So the process for applying is actually the exact same for the PhD program as it is for our master's programs. There's no difference. The only thing that I would encourage you to do is to start researching the faculty that we have at Carnegie Mellon, at Heinz College, so you can know who you would want to be your advisor to prepare for the actual research aspect of your PhD program. And then the PhD program itself is usually a 5 or 6 year program. It is fully funded 100%. So if you are admitted to the PhD program, you get a full 100% scholarship as well as a living stipend. But do know that it is a very, very small cohort. Usually we have only about 4 or 5 PhD students per program each year.
Great. One question we get a lot is how do you choose the person that's gonna get the scholarship for Col-Futuro?
So the scholarship that we give out is anybody who receives a Col-Futuro scholarship will also get the 75% scholarship. We don't put a limit on that. So we could have 10 students from Col-Futuro coming to us and we will give 10 75% scholarships. And then if you don't receive the Col-Futuro scholarship, we're going to review you for a merit-based scholarship or any others that we think you may be eligible for.
Okay, great. We have another question, and it's related to traveling with their family. If it's possible to live with their wife, and if they have any, I think, extra financial help for family.
So in terms of traveling to Pittsburgh with your family, yes, it's most certainly possible. We've had many students come to Carnegie Mellon with families. Their children have been enrolled in the daycares or the schools locally. We have a number of resources through our graduate student assembly, it's called the GSA, which provides assistance in getting settled for families as well as other resources. We would always be able to help you kind of get connected with those people. But we don't provide any additional scholarship or funding for those who are coming over with family. We will issue you the appropriate visa though, so that your family members could have an F2 visa. So they are eligible to travel and live with you in the States, but not eligible to work. Eloisa had a comment, looks like.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know if it's worth much, but if you have a family and you go to the pantry and you say, look, I have a wife and a kid, or a husband and a kid, they would give you more. They take that into account and they give you 3 portions instead of 1, which is really, yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you, Eloisa. Juan José tiene una pregunta para Eloisa y para Juliana, y es, ¿qué examen entre el GMAT y el GRE presentaron y cómo les fue en el proceso de preparación y de presentación?
¿En español o en inglés?
Como quieras.
Either way.
Ok, pues yo presenté el GRE, yo no preparé el GMAT. Fue bastante, o sea, es bastante trabajo de preparar, sobre todo si estás trabajando a tiempo completo. Sí, si tienes más tiempo es pues más fácil, pero si estás muy ocupado, a mí me tocó trabajar todos los fines de semana, horarios alargados por la mañana antes de ir a trabajar o por la tarde después de llegar a la casa. Yo les aconsejaría que compraran, o sea, se revisaran que los libros que compran están actualizados, porque yo estudié con un libro viejo y cuando presenté el examen me di cuenta que había tipos de preguntas que nunca había visto. Bueno, o sea, a mí no creo que, o sea, no, creo que no me fue súper bien el GRE, o también como me habían ido en los exámenes, en los tests, pero bueno, o sea, fue suficiente y no es imposible, o sea, realmente con práctica se puede sacar el examen.
Gracias.
Uli.
Sí, diría que hay que preparar el examen, pues el tiempo adecuado para preparar el examen, el GRE o el GMAT, el que sea, son 6 meses. Un poco, bueno, tomar definitivamente más de 2 meses preparándolo. En mi caso, bueno, mi programa se enfocaba un poco más en el tema técnico, entonces la parte matemática tenía que estar un poco más alto el puntaje. De pronto por eso me concentré en eso, o sea, mira como el programa, cuál es el average que pide, cuál es el average con el que han entrado los otros estudiantes y bueno, no, prepararlo. Compré el libro. Sí, compré el libro y también usé todos los resources online, hice los simulacros y ya lo presenté presencial. El tema del GRE y el GMAT es manejar tu tiempo. Tienes que, if you practice, you're gonna handle the timing of the test, because I think that's one of the biggest pressures when you're doing the test. So timing is everything. You have about 1.5 minutes per question. So yeah, I'll say that.
One thing I'll add is that we're very holistic in our review process. So the GRE and the GMAT is only one portion of the application, and I don't want you to stress over it. Yes, it's something that we look for and we will review, but the application, we ask for a number of items, and all of those items hold equal weight in the application review process. So we want to review, kind of know the full story of who you are as an applicant and as a student. So the GRE is only just one small portion of that.
Thank you. David, Sara, Eloisa, and Juliana, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the presentation, for sharing your experience, and for answering all of the questions. I was wondering if you can show a slide where there's a contact email for anyone who's connected right now and sees the video on YouTube the next days.
Yeah, definitely. So let me share my screen because you've read my mind. I have what's up next. Although I don't have Eloisa and Juliana's emails listed because I didn't get their permission in advance. So.
Oh, I'll put it in the chat.
You put it in the chat. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So first off, I'll share that if you want to learn more about our programs, we have a lot of activities happening over the next couple of months. If you want to take a deep dive into our programs and talk with us, I encourage you to email and you can come visit us virtually. We will do Skype and telephone calls. Juliana mentioned that she came for fall visitation. We will be doing that virtually this year, but we will make it a lot of fun and a very exciting event. And then we host a lot of webinars with students and with our faculty members and with our professors. So feel free to join those. At the very bottom of this page and at the next page, you'll see a link. If you fill out the form that is on this link, here it is again, you'll be able to register your name and what program you're interested in, and we'll then connect you with the program director, as well as make sure you're familiar with our application deadlines, all of the upcoming events. So if you want to learn more about our programs, please make sure that you follow the link at the very bottom of the screen here to register your name and your email so that we can get you all of that information that you want to receive from our office. My email and Sarah's email are on the screen. hnzadmit@andrew.cmu.edu is the general admissions inbox, but you are welcome to email either myself or Sarah directly. We are more than happy to provide that for you. Sarah also just provided the link in the chat box, so if you want to easily click it, please feel free to click it in the chat box as well. Any final questions from anybody? Or anything, Camilla, anything that you need from us? I want to be respectful of everybody's time.
No, we do not have any further questions. I think the presentation was very complete and we had every information we needed. So
Great.
Thank you so much again for being here and have a very nice day.
Thank you so much, Sarah, Eloisa, Juliana. Thank you for joining me, Camilla, and everybody at Colfatoro. Thank you. For those of you online, thank you as well. Stay safe, and we look forward to being in touch with you. So have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. Gracias a todas las personas que se conectaron. Que tengan un buen día.